Begin with breaking news.
Tonight we were following breaking news out of Stockton, where there's been a mass shooting at a banquet hall that's left 14 people shot. At least 4 people have died so far.
We have 2 crews on the ground right now. We want to start with team coverage. KCRA 3's Denson Cortez and Peyton Headley live at the scene of this mass shooting. We want to get to Denson Cortez first. So Denson, we've seen something really interesting there. This is a residential area of the shooting investigation, and now there's some kind of interesting protocols that they're doing, right?
There is, Andrea. So we are on the west end where Peyton's at. We're on the west side of Lucille Avenue. I'm going to step aside right now. They're actually putting down that barrier of tape to allow some of these cars to access through. When I spoke with an officer earlier, he says what's determining people to go in and out is the circumstances. We don't know if they're residents or other protocols, but right now they are setting that perimeter in this area to determine and, find that suspect or suspects involved in this shooting. I just spoke to a resident off camera who lives in the first house nearby. He says this is actually a fairly active area, and if you keep going down Dawn Avenue, he says you'll hit 8 Mile Road, which has an active scene, but you can see those cars now starting to access Dawn Avenue through Lucille. But he shared that when he heard the initial shots around 6 p.m., he thought they were fireworks as well, as Peyton reported earlier. So he said that they were fairly loud to where he was able to hear, just on the west end of Lucille Avenue. So just imagine the magnitude of these shots. But he says this is a fairly active area of Lucille Avenue and Dawn Avenue, and also it's a neighborhood watch area as well. So for people that are in the area near Delta Sierra Middle School as well, if you could call the number 209-946-0600, and that's again 209-946-0600. Officials are asking any individual that has any information to reach out to those numbers and come out and speak. But right now, our officers are putting that perimeter on this west end of Lucille Avenue to find the suspect or suspects. Live in Stockton, Denson Cortez, KCRA 3 News.
Yeah, and we should mention, again, 14 people shot, 4 of them dead. The shooting investigation focusing on a banquet hall at Lucille Avenue and Thornton Road. Denton is in the residential area, but we saw just moments ago law enforcement actually checking IDs and trying to figure out who lives in this neighborhood. And that really tells you the seriousness of the fact that they're still looking for the person or people who are responsible for this mass shooting that we saw happen here in Stockton just before 6 tonight.
And the authorities haven't given us many details in terms of, suspect information, but what they have told us so far is that they say that they believe this was a targeted incident, and they are right now trying to find a suspect, and they're asking for people's help, anyone with information to contact them. They're looking for, witness statements. They're looking for surveillance video as well. You see this map on your screen to kind of help you understand. So Denton was kind of in the more residential side of Lucille Avenue, and then Thornton Road intersects with Lucille Avenue. There's a shopping center with a Dairy Queen. That is where that banquet hall is. That is where the primary focus of this investigation is at this point. So we want to check in with Peyton Headley, who's been on this story from the very beginning. Peyton, tell us where you are for context and kind of share with us any new information you've been able to gather.
Yeah, well, we are on Thornton Road here near Lucille Avenue. The intersection that we are at are with Thornton Road and Waldman, and this is a massive perimeter that they have set up here. We were able to get significantly closer earlier this evening, but since then they have just continuously backed us up to give them more room in this investigation. Again, right now they don't have any suspect information to share. They said they don't have a suspect information. Again, they don't have a suspect in custody right now in relation to this shooting. But I'll step out of the way and give you a look at the live scene right now. So there were, when we got here, an insane amount of law enforcement vehicles. That has dwindled down significantly as the evening has gone on, but now detectives, investigators, and more law enforcement officials are arriving. We know this investigation is backed by the FBI, by the Department of Justice, the District Attorney's Office. We have the county sheriff involved, and of course the Stockton Police Department as well, neighboring agencies also contributing. So what we know tonight is that the calls came in just before 6 o'clock this evening about gunfire in the area. officers say 14 people were shot. We know 10 of those people are injured. 4 of those people have died, and right now we don't have any specific ages on these victims, but we do know that the ages range from children to adults. So there were children at this gathering here. The vice mayor posted on Facebook calling it a children's birthday party that was inside of this banquet hall. So really devastating to know that these children now know firsthand the impacts of gun violence. They've seen it. They've experienced it. Some of those children, potentially the victims of this, either shot or died as a result of this shooting. I asked the county sheriff's office what it's like to investigate something like this. This is what they had to say.
It is unfathomable that there are young children who are harmed, that there's anybody who is harmed in this, and our hearts go out to those victims, to their families, and to our community.
Yeah, so again, a massive investigation right now looking to find who is responsible for this. So looking at this scene, to paint you a bigger picture, if you haven't been on Thornton Road here, it's both residential and there are businesses as well on both stretches of this. So those are houses that are lit up on Lucille Avenue right there, where investigators have really been focusing a lot of the evening. And then just behind it, there's the Dairy Queen, there's the business park, and then across the street, there's an auto shop. There's convenience stores. And the good news about that is that there is a lot of surveillance video that could help investigators in this search for the suspect and really figuring out what happened. What could also help in this investigation is that there were likely dozens of people inside of this banquet hall. Again, we know that 14 people were shot. 4 of those people died, and likely those people will be able to give information to officials about what unfolded, how it all happened, and who is responsible. Right now, we don't know if it's only one person or if there are multiple people who are responsible. I talked to a woman that lived just down the block. She was inside of her house when those gunshots first went off. She said she thought it was going for at least a minute. So just a long, long time for gunfire to be going, especially in front of children, in front of families who had been celebrating inside of this banquet hall. But still a lot of information for detectives and investigators to work through. Again, they do believe this was targeted, and they are searching for a suspect or suspects in this case. Guys.
Peyton, thank you. And another, we heard from Stockton's mayor earlier this evening. She said families should be together instead of being at a hospital praying for their loved ones. So obviously we know this is a, holiday weekend. Families are gathering to be with one another, but also this was a literal family gathering at a banquet. We heard from the vice mayor who said this was a child's birthday party. We also know the vice mayor is flying back to Stockton right now to be with the families of those that have been impacted.
And we do want to mention this, as you can see here pulled up on the screen right now. Crime Stoppers is asking for information, law enforcement asking for any information right now that could help in this investigation. No bit of information is too small. So if you know anything, if you saw anything, if you have any surveillance video or any ring cameras or any other information that could help in this investigation, they're asking that you give them a call at 209-946-0600. That's right there on your screen. And a reminder, those tips can be anonymous. We have been hearing from many people. We've been hearing from lawmakers, including Assemblymember Rhodesia Ransom, representing the 13th District of California, and she issued the following statement in response to the mass shooting, saying, quote, "I'm heartbroken by the violence and tragedy in Stockton and the senseless loss of life that has resulted from this. My heart is with the families experiencing unimaginable pain and with those who have been injured. These events are deeply traumatizing for our community. We are still gathering the facts as more information becomes available. In this difficult time, I'm holding everyone affected in my thoughts and prayers. I pray for peace, healing, and the sense of safety we all deserve."
And we did hear again from Stockton's mayor, Christina Fugazi, tonight. She said, I quote, "Stockton is better than this." Right. And so the city officials and people in Stockton are heartbroken to find out that children have been victims of a mass shooting at a gathering for families, right? So the other thing the mayor mentioned, she said children and adults did not survive. When I listened to that press conference, we haven't heard much about who the victims are. We know from authorities that they range from juveniles to adults, but we heard from the mayor that children and adults did not survive this shooting.
And we should mention as well, we know that 10 other people are recovering tonight, and we don't know the extent of their injuries either. So we're still waiting for that information, but we do know 4 dead, including adults and children. We know 10 other people had some sort of gunshot wound, and at this point we are not sure what their conditions are. Working on getting more details on that as well.
Yeah, and we have been, again, we want to, if we can pull up that soundbite from the mayor of Stockton, if we can play that real quick.
And what happened tonight? Again, unacceptable. Families should be together instead of at the hospital, standing next to their loved one, praying that they survive. So again, wish we had better news for you, wish we could tell you more. As soon as that information becomes available, we will make sure that you get it.
And now we want to get to this. Of course, Governor Gavin Newsom's office posting on X tonight saying he has been briefed, adding, quote, the governor's Office of Emergency Services is monitoring this evolving situation and coordinating with local law enforcement. And we know this, Mayor Fugazi said in a statement, she released this on Facebook just moments after that press conference as she gave, that as soon as she was made aware of the incident, she responded to the area with Councilwoman Michelle Padilla, and shortly after they were on scene receiving direct updates and supporting the community. She also went on to say she has spoken with Stockton's police chief Stan McFadden and federal law enforcement partners, including San Joaquin County District Attorney Ron Freitas. Those responsible will be identified and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, she said. She also mentioned this a short time ago. She spoke with Governor Gavin Newsom on the phone, who has offered the full support of the state of California to assist the community and law enforcement agencies in any way that's needed. She goes on to say our first responders acted quickly, securing multiple scenes and providing immediate medical aid. Their professionalism reflects the very best of our city. As mayor, I am ensuring every necessary resource is available and that our city supports this effort at every level. Right now, our focus must remain on the victims, their families, and the safety of the community.
We also heard from Stockton's Vice Mayor Jason Lee, who was one of the first city leaders to post. If we can pull that up, he said on Facebook tonight, my heart is heavy in a way that's hard to put into words. As Vice Mayor of Stockton and as someone who grew up in this community, I am devastated and angry to learn about the mass shooting at a child's birthday party. An ice cream shop should never be a place where families fear for their lives. Adding that violence touched my life as a young person, and seeing our own children, parents, and neighbors go through this shakes me deeply. Stockton is my home. These are our families. This is our community. He said, I am in contact with staff and public safety officials to understand exactly what happened, and I will be pushing for answers. Our community deserves to know the truth, and the families impacted deserve justice and every resource available to support them. Tonight, I'm sending my thoughts, prayers, and love to the families who are hurting, to the children who witnessed this trauma, and to everyone across our city who feels this pain. Please, God, uplift our community. We don't deserve this. We will not accept this as our norm.
That was Vice Mayor Jason Lee. We'll be right back.